Okay, Bruchim Haba, and welcome everyone. We're continuing Mishnah Berura Daf Hashavua. We're learning Siman Kuf Yud Dalid. We are up to, we're middle of Seif Beis. The Mechaber said, let's read the Mechaber again. Asr lahaskir hagashem at sheyachas ha-shel tzibur. You're not allowed to mention rain until the shel tzibur calls it out. Says Rama v'yesh oimrim shekodim shemaschilin mosuf machras hashamesh mashvarach mard hagashem. Some say that before you start Musaf, the Chazan announces Mashvarach Mard Hagashem. Why? Kedei shahat tzibur yazkiru b'tfilasan, so that the tzibur will remember it in their tefillah. V'chein nayagin. That is the minhag. The Mishnah Berura says that. Let's see. Sivkatan hey v'yesh oimrim shekoidem. Ta'as Seiferhu. It's the words Yeshamrim is a Ta'as Seifer. Why? V'tzarach loymar purest shekoidem. Ein ka machloikis kal. There's no machloikis over here. There's no machloikis. The Mechaber said you can't mention Mashvarach Mard Hagashem before the shel tzibur announces it, and the Rama explained purest shekoidem, and there's no machloikis at all. Like the Kaf HaChaim says that this is explained in Shulchan Aruch and Siman Tafresh Samaches, where he writes, you say Kaddish and you call out Mashvarach Mard Hagashem, meaning according to Shulchan Aruch, you call it out before Tefillah. Mashvarach v'ayin b'chayadam sh'isur sh'ledasos k'mashinogim sh'machriz and mashvaruach sh'zoloi nikra hachraza. Just to say Mashvarach is not hachraza, sharei b'yesh mekamis amrim gam bakayitz Mashvarach. In some places they say Mashvarach the whole year, ela yisayim u'marid Hagashem. The Mechaber continues, Hilkach afim hu chayla oyanas. Therefore, even if you're sick or you're an oinus, la yakdim tfilasay l'tfilas hatzibur. You should not precede your tefillah to the tefillah of the tzibur. Lefisha asar lahazker ad sheyamar shel tzibur. You're not to mention Mashvarach Mard Hagashem until the shel tzibur does. Meaning, so if you're sick or you're an oinus, do not daven earlier than the tzibur, because you won't be able to say Mashvarach Mard Hagashem then. So, Elamai, you'll say, so I won't say it. So he doesn't say, why can't I do that? In other words, why can't I daven before? And I won't say it. Let's see. If you know the shel tzibur called out, even though you didn't hear it, mazker, you can mention it. So it's not a din that you have to hear it, it's just you can't do it before. But if you know he did it, then it's okay. If you came to shul late, and the tzibur already began, yisbalel, you daven with them, and you can mention Mashvarach Mard Hagashem, even though he didn't hear it. Says the Mishnah Berura, Af imhu perushtim einoi choyle. If he's not sick, b'chol hashana asur lahakdim tfilasay lat tzibur k'ma shekazu siman tzadi. Meaning, why does the Mechaber have to conjure up a case where the person is ill? Even a healthy person, maybe he's davening before the tzibur. The answer is, if he's healthy, why in the world would he daven before the tzibur? Lo yakdim v'afilim hu mispal b'beisa. Even if he's davening in his house, asur lahaskir kadim sh'mispalan b'tzibur. It's asur to mention before you daven b'tzibur. V'lchein b'nei ha'yishuvim. Those people in the outlying areas, kishemispalan b'loy minyin, when they daven without a minyin, yamtinu b'shmini atzeres. They should wait shmini atzeres milaspala musaf ad samach l'soif sheishas, until close to the end of 6 hours. Because certainly the tzibur won't wait more than 6 hours to daven musaf. Va'az yispalo musaf v'yomru mashiv haruach. Now, what if the tzibur ends up davening musaf really late, like in Eretz Yisrael, where Shmini Atzeres is Simchas Torah, and musaf often starts after the 7th hour? The Mekar Chaim says, since me'ikar adin zmana kol hayom, on such a day, someone who's not going to shul would need to wait until the 7th hour to daven musaf. But interestingly, they bring from the Sefer Tila David, you could daven before the 7th hour, and don't mention Geshem. The din that you need to wait is only if you want to mention Geshem, but if you don't want to mention Geshem, you don't have to wait. That's what I've been waiting for. In other words, what's this pressure that if you're sick or you're in Oinus, don't be makdim tefillah? So why not? I want to be makdim tefillah. I want to daven. So it seems like the Tehillah David says you could daven, and you don't say Geshem. The din that you're not allowed to start before is only if you want to say Geshem. If you don't need to say Geshem, if you don't want Geshem, then you could start earlier. You might not make any money that year, but that's your problem, But you could definitely start davening before the tzibor. That's how the Tehillah David.
Are you supposed to say Geshem? Is it want or supposed to?
I don't know. That's. I don't know. I'm not sure. It sounds like it's up to your discretion. The way Latila David says it is, this whole din is only if you want to say Geshem, so then you have to wait. But I would say the fact that the Mechaber says Lo Yakdim sounds like good. You're making a good diuk. It sounds like you should wait, and therefore you should say Geshem. Meaning, I think you're making a correct diuk, and I think the reason is Chazal were masakin that in Musaf on Shemini Atzeres you say Mashrach Maragashem. The problem is you can't say it until the tzibur says it. So therefore Lo Yakdim. Now, if you don't want to do that, we can't enforce that. We can't enforce that you say Mashrach Maragashem and therefore wait. Especially because maybe we don't want to be matriach you. But it seems like it's ideal to wait. Sort of not like the Tila LaDavid. Yeah, write that down. In other words, I think the Tila David is sort of not like the simple mashmois of the Mechaber. Let's see the Bir Halacha over here. The Bir Halacha in Lo Yakdim. Mistapaknim hispalu minyin vatzikim beis hakneses gufa v'chrizu mashavarach kanag emayaz el minyin shin sheimoto leyachal lahakdim. Let's say there's a hashkama minyan in the shul, and in that minyan they do announce mashavarach magashem. So now it's not going to work for the second minyan, but could it work for a guy who's davening at home? Or a yachid who wants to be makdim. Don't say, well, there's such a big interruption, it's not called an announcement. B'shem Rabbi Akiva, B'shem, what's Reish Ayin? Anyone have a different kind of Mishnah Berura? The Rush brings in the name of Reish Ayin. Who's that? Who's Reish Ayin? Bar Tanura? Rav Amram. The Rush brings in the name of Rav Amram. That's interesting. The Hazkara de Musaf Mayelas lemincha. A mention of Musaf helps for mincha. Ayin Sham Barash Tlai Palgal Lebesrazuch Ein Zepazur Amabsef Gimel. The Efsher, the Kivin the Minyin Acherhu, could be, since it's a different Minyin, Gam Haloi B'Shachas Yitzrach Lo Mashav Haruach. Then it would come out, he would have to say in Shachris Mashav Rachamar Dagashan. In other words, if this guy who's davening on his own is going to use the hachraz of the early minyan, then when he daven Shachris, he'll have to say Mashav Rachamar Dagashan. Al Kin Loi Mahani Zel Tfilas Musaf Sha'acher Kach. V'zeh ha-safek yipol gam kem b'mashav pasuk Rama b'sef Gimel. This safek applies to what the Ramah says in Sef Gimel. Denoigen hakol hasker mashrach b'yom tav rishon shal pesach b'musaf. The Ramah says that the minog is in your shtul shman esrei you're going to say mashrach amar dagashim b'musaf. Mishum da adayin lo yisham mishal tzibur the pasuk lo mashrach. In ba'oisev ezgez esval minyan rishon kvar pasuk yishal zor mashrach v'chazor sashatz in moel zeh shal yitzarch shuv lo mashrach b'tfilas b'musaf b'tzarchiyon. In other words, here's another shaila. You're going to the 9 o'clock minyan. The minog is by the musaf. For Nusach Ashkenaz, you say Masharach Amar Dagashim in the silent Shemana Esrei because there's no announcement. Don't say Masharach Amar Dagashim. But the early minyan already stopped saying Masharach Amar Dagashim. So then, will that allow the silent Shemana Esrei in the second minyan to stop saying it? I would say, what about Shachris? What should they do Shachris? Right? The same thing we said. What should they do Shachris time? I don't think in general we say that the early minyan affects the late minyan. I mean, let's say there's a bris by the early minyan. People don't say, oh yeah, they don't say tachnon because the shul hasn't said tachnon and anybody ever. You know, it was the yard side of the lone soldier in the time of the Civil War. They won't say tachnon. So usually we don't say that one minyan affects the other, but this is a tzarchiyan of the Bir Halacha. Therefore, it says Bir Halacha, you should not make an early minyan in the shul on the first day of Pesach and on the last day of Sukkot. You should not have an early minyan.
My Rav asked the early minyan to daven Musaf in a different room.
Mm-hmm. But he wasn't following the Mishnah Berura, because the Mishnah Berura said there should not be an early minyan in the shul. Should not be an early minyan. Why does it help if it's only in the room? Mm-hmm. He says, "Alkei nira shetov lizo shaloi lasos minyan rishon bebeis haknesses b'yom tov rishon shel Pesach." Don't make an early minyan the first day of Pesach.
Could there be enough minyan if it's a main minyan or a break-off minyan? Meaning, if the main minyan is the early minyan, and then later some guys are davening, so the Shiur already went ahead and changed. But if there's like, I understand there's two official minyanim.
Yeah.
If there's a second minyan, a bunch of guys go to place to decide to make a minyan, they're davening after the Shiur is davening. It makes it an afternoon.
Maybe, I don't know. What would you say about, why does the Bir Halacha only say don't make an early minyan on the first day of Pesach? Why not on Shmini Atzeres? Let's go back to what he said earlier. He said, Ve'efsher the kivan de minyan acherhu, ve'gam de haloi b'shachris yitzarch loymar. Do you have the words mashav haruach? Or shouldn't it say morid hatol? I don't understand what he's saying there. I have a question. If there's an early minyan on Shmini Atzeres, and they start saying Masharach Amar Dagashem, and then the 9 o'clock minyan comes, what are they going to say by Shachris? They're going to say Masharach Amar Dagashem by Shachris? And if they need to, does that make any sense? How can they? And why didn't the Bir Halacha say that don't make an early minyan on Shmini Atzeres? Okay, we need to write this all down. Sif Gimel. Maybe I'll do it right after the Shiur, and you'll tell me what you think. Sif Gimel. Im Amar Masha Barach b'Mais Hachama. If you said Masha Barach in the summer, Oyloi Amar b'Mais Hagshamim, Ein Machzir Mosai. The words Masha Barach in the summer, or you didn't say in the rainy season, you don't go back because the wind. You do not need to mention wind because the wind is a constant. Says the Mishnah, Masharuach, Ratzolim, Masharuach, Levad, V'loi, Hizker Geshem, Ein Machzirin, the Ruchais, wind, V'chein Tal, Ein Atzaran, B'lav Hachi. It was never withheld. V'amirasei Loimal V'loi Morid, and its recitation is unaffected. It doesn't make a difference. Mikomakam, L'charchila, Noegim, M'chal Mekoimois, nevertheless, L'charchila, the minig is in all places, Loimer, Masharuach, B'haskara, B'imois HaGeshamim, Shemoyal, Oz, Lenagev, Lachos haaretz shehi meruba. The minhag is always to say masharach in the rainy season because it helps to dry the moisture of the earth, which is a lot. Ein machzir noisei va'afilu adayin loisiyim habracha. Even if, let's say, you didn't finish the bracha and you could easily go back and just say the words mashav haruach. Let's say you said Morid Hagashem and you could easily go back and say the words Mashrach. You don't have to go back. You never, since there's no chiyuv at all to mention tal and ruach. He brings in the Dirshan, the Bir Halacha, that if you mentioned before you finished Baruch Ato Hashem, why should you not go back and say Mashrach Haruach, just like someone who forgot during Aser Semei Tshuva Zachreinu Micha Moicha, that you go back. And the Bir Halacha ends off in a tzarchiyan. Okay, Rabbi Sai, we'll hold it over here. Hatzlacha Rabbah. Have a good day.